Hi there, Damien from Gridmo. Let's go through scenario variables. On screen, I've got a single line diagram of a hybrid generator that I'm working on. It's a mix of both solar and wind farm. On the left-hand side of the screen, we can see at bus 500, ID S1, a solar farm, and at bus 600, ID W1, a wind farm. If I was to do grid connection studies for this project, I would have to consider three different scenarios: the wind farm in service, the solar farm in service, and both the wind farm and the solar farm in service. Let's have a look what I've got in the web app so far. So I've got my two tests set up in the web app. I'm doing a reactive power step and an active power step. But now I need to repeat that for three different scenarios. I mean, I could copy this 3 times, but then I'd have 3 times the gridmo stuff to maintain, and that could cause errors. Alternatively, I could use our scenarios function. If you click on the scenario tab and you have selected multi-scenario simulations, you'll be greeted with a window like this. As I mentioned earlier, for this hybrid plant, solar, wind, and solar and wind, that's 3 different scenarios. So I've ticked the 3 different scenarios on. I can add a scenario variable. In this case, I'm going to start with S for scenario, just to remind myself what it is. Let's do PSSC SS set plant state. And this is going to be a scenario variable which sets the generators in service for the correct test. Now, one important distinction of that scenario variables have compared to, say, loop or global variables is that they can have multiple lines. What that means is one scenario variable can mean multiple different gridmo commands. In this case, for the PSSC static, I want to configure the 3 different scenarios. And if we recall what I discussed at the first, my first scenario was the wind farm in service and therefore the solar farm out of service. So I could use the set gen equals, in this case, solar farm, so the wind farm, which is W1, status is in, and I would therefore want S1, which is the solar farm, to be out of service. My first scenario is wind farm in, solar farm out. Likewise, my second scenario are those two reversed. And my third scenario is both of them in service, like that. Now, if I go back to the flow and I go to the PSSC static, I can insert $ and then that scenario variable. And that scenario variable actually means 2 different commands. I'll place it in both PSSC statics, like so. And what that means is going to happen is Gridmo is going to convert this project almost into 3 separate parts. And every time it comes across this scenario variable, the first time it will place scenario 1, the second time scenario 2, and the third time scenario 3. Scenario variables are used extensively in Gridmo's built-in templates because that's how we can provide hybrid support. Thanks for watching.